I just passed the CompTIA 701 Security Plus exam. In this video, I will review 280 questions that spans across all the CompTIA objectives. Come with me and let's study together. We will review 10 questions from CompTIA Security Plus 1.2. Summarize fundamental security concepts. Question 1. The CEO has asked an IT administrator to explore the newest attack techniques malicious actors utilize. Which of the following is the best resource for this investigation? Honeypot, MITRE ATT&CK, a CVS list, and a honey file. So let's assume we don't even know anything about this. Right? How will you attack this question? The first, you can look at a CVS list, a CVE list. So if you know what the CVE list before, you know that it's common vulnerabilities and exposure. That is where they document any vulnerability or exposure. It's like a central repository that if there's anything that happens in the past, it's there. We know that a honey file is a decoy document that is designed to attract and detect unauthorized access. And we know that a honeypot is also a decoy system, right? A honey file, the difference between a honey file and a honeypot is subtle, right? A honey file is just like a password file that they might try to use. Okay, so from this, if we read the question again, has asked an IT administrator to explore the newest attack techniques. So they want to know the attack technique. I can eliminate a honey file because it's just a file. The IT administrator is looking for a technique. And I can also eliminate a CVS list, a CVE list, because it's just common vulnerabilities and exposure. Now, it leaves us with a honeypot and MITRE ATT&CK. Okay, in this case, the answer is a honeypot because a honeypot is a decoy system or network with lower security that entices the attack. So a honeypot is what a company will actually put there as a decoy, trying to have an outside attacker come in to try and exploit them. And since the CEO wants to know the newest techniques, a honeypot, which is a decoy system, will be able to capture that. Okay, that's a honeypot. Okay, and the answer is a honeypot. Now, question 2. Which system type can monitor user access if 802.1x is the authentication method? This is where I struggle a little bit because it has to deal with networking. And the strategy I use here is to make sure I eliminate 2 options or just by memory in which I know what goes with what. In this system, in this question, I've mastered what OAuth is. I think it's open authorization. And the way I look at open authorization is when you are trying to log into a website or to sign up on a website, and that website wants you to use a third-party app, maybe Facebook, maybe Google or LinkedIn, to log into the site. This makes sure that you don't have multiple username and password. So I just know that from prior experience that OAuth, which is open authorization, is when I use a third-party app. So the question again says, which system type can monitor user access if 802.1x is the authentication method? Now, they are talking about authentication, right? Although OAuth might be authentication, but it's a third-party authentication. Okay, so Kerberos, right? I don't even need to know what it is, and Federation Services, I don't even need to know what it is. Why? Because I have associated radius with 802.1. Okay, so what is radius? Radius is a centralized authentication, authorization, and accounting server. We call it AAA, authentication, authorization, and accounting server that can track and control network access. So that means that radius clients could be a VPN, a WAP, or other 802.1 managed switches. So in this case, radius is the answer. When studying, there are some basic things that I will advise you to know. OAuth is the easiest, right? Because it's open authorization. You have an example with that. Radius, Federation Services, Kerberos, and SAML. There are also other services that if we can master those 5, in this case 4, because OAuth I think is just basic, you will have no problem on the exam. So the answer again is radius. What system type can monitor user access? Is radius, because radius is an AAA system, which is a centralized authentication, authorization, and accounting server that can track and control network access. Okay, now let's go to number 3. Which of the following mechanism can ensure non-repudiation? Okay, non-repudiation is when you cannot deny that you perform an action. If you send me an email, you cannot deny that you were actually the person that sent that email. That is what non-repudiation is. So choices we have a public key, asymmetric encryption, a SAML token, and symmetric encryption. To answer this question, you really need to know what a symmetric encryption is and what asymmetric encryption is, at least to have an idea. But you can also find a way to guess. So, non-repudiation. A public key is like a public key is what people or companies use to encrypt data, right? So, if it's what people use to encrypt data, can it ensure non-repudiation? To me, not really, because I really don't know how it can aid that. Cool. So SAML token. So SAML is called a security assertion markup language. How can that ensure non-repudiation? No, I don't know. Okay, so the answer is either the symmetric and the asymmetric. I used to get confused, but this is how I figured out the difference. Symmetric, asymmetric. So this A at the back, I just use it as meaning 2. If symmetry is 1, asymmetry, I use it as it means 2. How do I do that? Symmetry is like having just one key to something. If you have a house, you have a key and you only have one key. That means that if you want another person to come into your house, you have to give the other person your key. So that means that it's only one key that can open the lock. In asymmetric encryption, that means that you need 2 keys. You need the private key and you need the public key. Now, to ensure non-repudiation, the answer will be asymmetric encryption. Why? Because when you use a private key to encrypt, the other person needs, when you use a public key to encrypt, the other person will need a private key to decrypt. Now, you are the only person that should know your private key. So that means that to ensure non-repudiation, you need asymmetric encryption, which has a public key and a private key. In a symmetric encryption won't work in this case. Okay, the answer is asymmetric encryption. All right. Number 4. After an insider steals $22,000, a bank security team must identify the culprit. Which information source is the best for them to use? This is one of the questions that if you know it, and you can just answer it and move on. These are some of the questions that you can use to save time to work on what you don't know. Audit trail, the system log, the DNS log, the application log. So application log is just logs of applications you used on your computer, right? All the applications you use, it has a log. DNS log, DNS means domain name server, right? And it's just a log of that. System log, all the system on your computer, that's just a log, an audit trail. So if you want to know who stole something, you need an audit trail. That's basically the answer, because an audit trail provides a comprehensive record of user activities and system actions. So you can use this to trace an insider attack. So the answer is an audit trail. Number 5. Which security tool is designed to be a valued target using dummy data and helps track attackers? Okay. We see that we saw a similar question to this earlier, in which the answer was the honey token. This one, if we read the question again, it says, which security tool is designed to be a valued target? But the most important thing we should know is that it uses dummy data and helps track attacker. So once we see that it says it uses dummy data, we should be thinking of the honey token. A honeypot, we can essentially put anything there. A palm, we can easily eliminate this. So let's assume that we don't know the answer. PAM is privileged access management. We can eliminate this, right? And a honey file does not use dummy data. And we can just look at the honey token. So the answer is honey token. Why? Because the honey token mimics valuable data to lure attackers. It serves as a decoy to detect and track unauthorized system access. So that's a honey token. In organizational jargon, which process involves analyzing the gap between current resources and future goals to strengthen strategic decision making? Okay, this is also one of those that you should just know this. Analyzing the gap. It is the gap. What is the current state and what is the future state? And what do we need to do? It's not SWOT. SWOT analysis is, let me see if I still know this. Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. That's what it means. It's not business process reengineering. We know what that is. If we want to make sure that we are efficient, we do business process reengineering. And it's not the capability maturity model. So the gap analysis is the difference between the current and the future. It's direct. Okay, that's the answer. Gap analysis. Which method uses a private key to prove that an email has not been altered during transmission and originates from the sender? So, what we should also be doing, I just noticed that, is that whatever question we have, we should try to track it to CIA, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That is the core cybersecurity principle. Confidentiality is the C, integrity is the I, availability is the A. So which method uses a private key to prove that an email has not been altered with, right? Now we are dealing with integrity. Alter. Okay. So a domain-based authentication, reporting, conformance, encryption, digital signature, hashing. So encryption deals with confidentiality because we're encrypting data. Digital signature is the right answer. Why? Because this one doesn't deal with encryption. Domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance, I don't even know what it does, right? And this is not hashing. So when there's a digital signature, when someone sends you a digital signature, it's to make sure nothing has been altered with. Because the digital signature, it uses a private key to sign the mail. This ensures integrity and the origin. So it does two things, right? That nothing has been tampered with, that's integrity. And it also identifies that, okay, this email is from who it says it's from. So the answer is digital signature, which ensures integrity. Make sure that nothing is altered with. Oh, number 8 is where we're going next. Which concept involves continually adjusting permissions through dynamic access controls based on evolving risk profiles and behavioral analytics? So, the thing that we should first look is, okay, adjusting user permission. So is the access management of some sort, dynamic access control, okay, based on evolving profiles. So we know that this is about access control, right? So these are the options we have: a cyber resilience protocol, dynamic credential ciphering, a behavioral authentication framework, adaptive identity management. What can we knock out? We can knock out this a cyber resilience protocol. I don't know how how that will help us in adjusting user permission. Dynamic credential ciphering, okay. A behavioral authentication framework. This is a framework, right? It is not a concept that we can use. So even if all I can use here is English language, right? I can know that the answer will be A, adaptive identity management. Why? Because we say continuously adjusting user permissions, right? If you are constantly adjusting it through dynamic access controls, you need something that will be adaptive, that will change. So the answer is adaptive identity management. Okay. Number 9. What sensors are capable of detecting changes in frequency? Okay, this is also an interesting one. During your study, once you come across this, you should just put it into memory because it's not that difficult to put some things that we use on a daily basis into memory. Infrared sensors, ultrasonic sensors, microwave sensors, pressure sensor. Changes in frequency. Pressure sensor does not change in frequency. I can't even explain what pressure sensor is. Infrared sensors, those are the red lights that point to a target, probably in a laser. Ultrasonic, I really don't know what ultrasonic sensors are. It's a microwave sensor. A microwave sensor can detect changes in frequency because they use microwave radiation to detect motion, making them suitable for motion detection applications. So we can link this into the microwave that we use at home. So once during your study, as you're doing now, you come across this, you know that a microwave sensor is a sensor that is capable of detecting changes in frequency. So the answer is a microwave sensor. Okay, number 10. So if you like questions like this, if you think that it's helping you, leave a comment below. Give me ideas on what I can do better going on and keep learning. There is other questions after this, essentially all the 28 objectives. I do 10 questions on each to make sure that you are equipped to pass the Security Plus on try. What log file type ensures accountability for one person's responsibility over another? One person's responsibility over another. Okay, we have a visitor log, an event log, an IDS log, and a security log. Okay. A visitor's log, whenever anyone comes to visit a company, they can tell you to write down your name, address, and all that. Event log, every event that happens in the system will have a log. IDS is intrusion detection system. And the security log, I don't even know how to explain this. I guess a log of every security action that happens on a system. So accountability for one person's action over another. This would be a visitor's log. And essentially, when entering a company or a military base or anywhere, a receptionist or a security guard who signs the visitor in is responsible for that person during the stay, right? So that log that you put down, whoever you are visiting is responsible, right? If it's a receptionist that signs you in and takes you over to meet another person, once the receptionist hands you over, then you become the responsibility of the other person. Let's look for the answer. Okay. It's the visitor's log. So there are other questions in this series. If you look on the top right, you'll be able to click the link that puts you to the other question. Thank you, and I wish you the best studying for Security Plus 701.